Hey guys, welcome to Degree Review. In this video, I will tell you about all the important things I learned from all my classes in college now that I'm graduated. As you can see, I'm in a new apartment in a new city, ready to start the next chapter of my life. But first, here's some background. I went to William Jessup University down in Rockland, California, which is a suburb of Sacramento, and I got a degree in business with 2 concentrations in management and finance. Some more important things to know: this is a very small school with around 2,000 students, and it's also a Christian school, so I took around, I think it was 8 Christian classes. So my first semester, the very first class that I took in college was management and organizational behavior. In this class, you learn about how people behave in the business setting and about how to do presentations, how to talk to your coworkers. You learn about groupthink, you learn about how to rise up the corporate ladder, and many other interesting skills. The second class I took was management information systems. And this class was when I knew I was in college and that this was going to be hard. On the very first day of class, I found out that I had a 10-page paper, which was shocking to me at the time because in high school, the biggest paper I had was 7 pages and I was not ready. But I will say this: if you are in high school and you're watching this, 10 pages might seem like a lot, but if you go to the library and ask for help, you'll be fine. I also took English and some general ed, but I'm gonna skip general ed in this video because, in my opinion, general ed is a scam. It's basically a high school 2.0, and you basically take a lot of the same classes over again, but they're either harder or they're a little different. Okay, in my second semester, I took business stats. This class was hard, and I had to go to tutoring a lot to get through it, and I didn't really learn anything because programs can do most of what you learn in the class. I also took macroeconomics. And there was a crazy story behind this class because I was in this class and the teacher got fired. He got fired because he was bad. He refused to talk about money. I remember his currency was called ducats. I don't know, he was a very weird guy and no one really liked him, and his tests were very hard. And so he got fired, and then another teacher came in with only 5 weeks left and finished the course. In this class, I learned about GDP, I learned about supply and demand, and how countries interact and trade with each other. I also took financial accounting. I regret taking this class with this teacher because she was too nice. I remembered that the test would be almost exactly the same as the homework, and you could ask her to help you with your homework in class, and then she would literally do it on the board for you. And so I would say that to this day, accounting is by far my worst business skill. Alright guys, sophomore year. Sophomore year was my least favorite year of college. In this year I took microeconomics. In that class you learn about GDP, scarcity, supply and demand, and elasticity. I took business law. That was one of my favorite classes. Business law is very important because you learn about assault, battery, libel, slander, how to avoid lawsuits, what you legally can and can't do. That's a class I recommend that everyone should take. And then I took organizational communication. This is one of my least favorite business classes because it's all about presentations and how people communicate. I didn't really learn anything in the class very easily. In my second semester, I took managerial accounting. In this class, I learned that one of the key points of business is talking about the future and the present, and learning about how to manage costs such as overhead, payroll, cost of production, and things like that. In this semester, I also took international business, which is one of my favorite classes, and I learned about how different countries and cultures conduct business. And this is one of the reasons that I wanted to become a world traveler. I also took entrepreneurship, which is one of the hardest classes that I took in college. In this class, I had a 25-page group paper and a 20-page group presentation. In this class, you learn about how to start a business from start to finish. First semester of sophomore year, I took New Testament. In that class, I got an A. That class is basically about all the books in the New Testament, and it's just an overview class. I also took online biology. I did not like that class at all. I got a B. I got a B in the lab, which is crazy. I took an online biology lab that literally sent me everything in the mail. Alright, junior year. This is by far my favorite year of college, probably because I met 2 of my best friends. The first class I took was operations management. This is basically everything you need to know if you're going to run a factory. I honestly never want to run a factory, so I didn't pay the closest attention, but I still got an A. Project management. by far the hardest class in all of college. I got a B, and I had a 40-page paper. There was one general ed class that I thought was great, and this was small group dynamics. Shouts out to that teacher. She's one of my favorites. She's great. And in this class, I learned a lot of things about how to lead a group. One of my favorite things I learned is that the best leaders often listen before they speak up. Alright, second semester of junior year. This is my favorite year, financial management. I learned about stocks, bonds, dividends, online money and banking. This class would have been a lot better if it was in person, but since it was online, I didn't learn anything. And then investment analysis. I really liked this class because we got to trade fake money on the real stock market. And in this class, I learned how to invest in stocks, and I still use that strategy to this day. Alright, GPA time. GPA junior year. Alright, so I took marine biology. That class was a lot harder than I expected, and surprisingly I got an A. Operations management, I got an A. Projects management, the hardest class I ever took, I got a B. Senior year. This is the year when everything changed. This is when I had my real estate internship, I had my first real estate class, and I learned what I wanted to do with my life. So about my first real estate class, I took it at the same time as my internship, and I learned a lot. In this class, I learned about escrow, I learned about the phases of real estate, I learned about inspections. In my internship, I went to many open houses, new developments, multi-million-dollar properties, cheaper properties, and I learned a lot about research, or I learned a lot about real estate. I did a lot of research. I can't thank my internship mentor enough. Thank you very much, Mark. Management leadership. This was my first 8 a.m. class, and it was horrible. It was boring. I didn't learn anything. I didn't like the professor's style. And then new venture finance. This class was great. This class is about what you need to know when you start a business and how to talk to investors. You learn about equity, you learn about option pools, you learn about many other things. And the most important thing I learned in that class, and you can apply to any class, is you need a great team around you. Final semester of my senior year. This is when things got weird. This is when the virus happened. This is when the exit plan of Sacramento started. Alright, let's get into this. First class I had this semester was marketing. This was another 8 a.m. class, but this class was much better because I actually learned a lot, and my teacher was much better as well. In marketing, I learned about the phases of innovation, the phases of acquiring customers. I learned about the loop for acquiring customers. I learned many other things. I did a cool project where I worked for a car museum. Another one of my favorite classes was sales and negotiations. In this class, we learned about how to sell and how to negotiate. And I learned that you should always have a backup plan. Human resource management, that class was just a requirement for me. I'm sure it was a good class, but I don't want to go into HR. I got a B in that class. Funny story is, when the virus happened, I did a lot of hilarious things during that class. Like, since it was all over Zoom, I would work out during Zoom, I would get burritos during Zoom, and I even got an oil change during Zoom. And then strategic management, this is another good class where we learned about how to make executive decisions such as acquisitions, growth, hiring, firing, and how to lead a company, how to set a vision, and things like that. I will say this though. So here's the big question. Was it all worth it? Looking back, I will say that a lot of it you could have just read online or read in books. But I will say the most important thing I learned is if you want to succeed in college or anything, you need 2 main skills. The first one is time management. And this is something that every college student runs into because there are deadlines and you have many choices. Do you want to go out to eat? Do you want to hang out with your friends? Do you want to go on a date? Or do you want to study or do your work and things like that? And the second one is dedication. And so dedication is, are you actually going to do your work in your projects and your papers, or are you just going to procrastinate? Another part of dedication is how to get over procrastinating. I feel like if you have those 2 skills with some ambition, you will definitely be ready to succeed in college or anything. And I will say that more than anything, college for me wasn't about so much as what I learned. It's about how I changed, how I grew, the skills I picked up, the experience I gathered, the connections, the memories, and how I feel like I am now ready to take on the world and live on my own. And as you can see, it totally worked, because look at where I am, look at my city. This place is great. I'm out of Sacramento forever, and life's only going to get better.